Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grassroots Racer. I have seen this week's guest quite a few times when I've been at the track, and I also did a quick interview with him once at Phillip Island, and I look forward to speaking with him further tonight about his racing journey in improved production and sports sedans. I believe he also has done a bit of racing on water as well. So to find out more, I welcome Danny Timewell. So how are you tonight, Danny?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I'm interested to know, how did you get started in motorsport and what did you love about it?
Well, I initially raced boats, ski race boats, for about 20 years, and it was only probably 5 or 6 years ago that I really got the bug for car racing. After we decided to sort of retire from ski racing.
Yeah, so growing up, was there a particular, even ski boat racer that you looked up to, or even road car that really admired?
Oh, growing up, I was always a Holden fan, so it was always the Peter Brocks and Mark Scaife and Lowndesy, of course, was my favourite. Um, so that's who I sort of enjoyed watching them a lot on TV, and yeah, I thought one day I'd love to have a go in a race car.
So you were telling me that you raced boats for 20 or so years, and
Yep.
what got you into racing boats?
I'd always grown up around boats and I really enjoyed my social skiing, and it was just sort of progression of that. Had the need for speed, so we just sort of started building boats and got faster and faster and faster.
What type of engines did you run in the boats?
Yeah, really different engine configuration in boats compared to cars. The rules are the capacity sizes are a lot bigger. So we had a 510 cubic inch Chev big block with twin turbo.
Yeah, that would make some horsepower. There's a business down where I live, called Nankervis Performance Boats. Those
Yep.
guys, I've looked in their workshop, and the boats they've got there are, oh, they're just the engines are so big in them, and he's
Yeah,
calling
that's
most of them small.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. Like I know the guys at Nankervis, they built some really nice boats out of that stable. But yeah, that's the same sort of thing. Big twin turbo thing, all engine.
Mm. And did you sort of lose interest? Is that why you switched to cars, or what was the motive to switching to race
Oh,
cars?
we'd been doing it for a long time. And the boat that I drove, the owner, Peter Strikes, my best mate, he owns a boat and I drove it. He observed in it, of course. His wife was sick for a while, so we thought we'd
Yeah.
just park it up for a season. And a couple of weeks later, we took a phone call. Someone wanted to buy the boat, and I was like, "Yeah, let's just get out while the going's good." We'd done it for a long time, and it was time for a change.
Yeah. How is everything okay now with him, or?
Yeah, no, they're all good. So, but yeah, then while I had that little bit of time off, I got bitten by the bug going to a Tampa track day at Sandown, driving a 944 Porsche.
What was that experience like? Because I know the 944s are quite powerful.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. A friend of mine owned the car and said, "Come down and do a track day." And so I did, and I was bitten by the bug that day. It was a left-hand drive, so changing gears on the
All
right-hand
right.
side took a little bit of getting used to, but otherwise it was good fun.
I can relate to that a little bit. The gear shifters in our cars are on the right hand side. I'm not sure why they didn't put it on the left, but oh well.
Yeah, yep, don't know either, but yeah, it doesn't take long to get used to, does it?
Yeah. So with the 944s, did are most of the cars left hand drive, or is there a mix?
I haven't looked too closely at the category actually, because as I said, that's the only 944 I've driven. But yeah, I think most of them seem to be left-hand drive.
I've talked to a few of the 944 guys, and it seems like a really nice category. But back to when you sort of got your career started, you are family run team, preparing your own cars, working on your own. Do you have some friends and family who help out as well?
Oh, absolutely. We've actually got a really good bunch of blokes that all want to be involved in the car. So my son Jacob, he's 21, so he's runs the show on the race day. And then I've got Colin, good mate of mine. He's a mechanic, and he built most of the car with me.
Mm.
And yeah, another mate of ours, Will. That's Jacob, one of Jacob's best mates. He's been there since day one as well. And another mate, Sean, comes along for the ride as well. Cooks us all lunch and breakfast.
Yeah, I've seen him in the tent before, early in the mornings. So, when did your son say to you, I want to help out, or did you convince him to come along and then he got bitten?
He was right there from the day we bought the car to start building it. It was a road car initially, so he was there the very first day helping me do it, and something we've done together, and it's been really cool.
Yeah, and you and your family and your son's friends have put a lot of time and effort into the car. But do you personally find it hard to work on the car when you still have work as well?
Yeah, but working on the car is always fun.
Mm.
So, or most of the time anyway, it's supposed to be. But so yeah, working on the car's not really a chore. I look forward to finishing work so I can go and play with the car.
Yeah, I don't mind coming home from school and working on the car. Like right now, I'm swapping the engine around in it to a different engine after I told you a bit earlier
Yeah,
that we had a problem with the head, so we're going to take the engine out so we can look at it and we're going to
yeah.
put a replacement in for the next round. But I did mention at the start of the show that I saw you at Phillip Island. Is that one of your favorite racetracks?
Yeah, a friend of mine was asking me that tonight, actually, and I think it is. It's not necessarily where I've had my best results, but it's my favourite track to drive because when you get it right, it's very rewarding.
Mm, I love the location of the track, but I feel like Sandown's a really great track to sort of work on your driving skill. For me, it's a driver's track. If you can get it right, then you'll be quick, but you also need to have the car or the equipment underneath you as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Sandown's the first track I'd ever driven on,
Mm.
and it's only 15 minutes from home, so I do enjoy sort of the home track thing. But yeah, like Sandown's pretty cool too because you just got the two big long straights, and V8. It's yeah, really thrilling going full noise down there.
And you're talking about having a V8 in your car. What's it? You know, what do you like most about racing in a sports sedan and improved production category?
Um, the sports sedans where I sort of started
Mm.
because I didn't know any better really, and then going to a couple of rounds, watching what goes on in improved production, and my car was probably better suited to that. So we swapped a few things around to make it an improved production car, and that what attracted me to improved production was the closeness of the racing. It's a big field, and there's lots of cars, and they're all different sort of variations of cars are competitive, and it's just it's a pretty cool class.
Yeah, I do find improved production quite a cool class. Like my last guest was Cal Jensen. He races the
Yep,
306, I'm pretty sure.
yep, no
Peugeot.
one.
Yeah, and yeah, he was talking to me last week and we were having a really great chat about his car. Let's tell me about the car you currently race in.
Well, this is version 2 of the car because the
Mm,
first version we rode it off at Eastern Creek or City Motorsport Park in November last year, which wasn't our fault, but it's just one of those things that happen, a racing thing.
yeah.
So we had to build a new car over the summer break. So it's a same shell, brand
Uh,
new shell, but yeah,
yeah.
same make and models, 2015 VF SS, and yeah, caged it out over. We took 3 months to build the car, but we only had 3 weeks to put it together before Sandown because most of the time goes into preparation. Getting the shell acid dipped,
Mm,
then getting it back, prepping it to go for the cage, getting it caged out, getting it back. Then the amount of sanding and then the paint. You got to paint it
yeah.
as well, and then that left us 3 weeks before Sandown to fit it out. But no, it was all went together really well, and we actually finished every session that first weekend with it.
So definitely a big push by your team to get it out there, which is, we were talking about before, it's so important to have a good family and team, behind you, to sort of work behind the scenes. We'll talk about what happened at Sydney later, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no
Um,
worries.
but yeah, how fast does, your V8 go? What's the top speeds in it?
The best we've had out of it was 259, and that's at Phillip Island, just before turn one.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, that's about as good as we've had it so far.
Was that in version 1 or 2?
Both of them actually. Yeah, both of them. The second car is a slightly better car though. For some reason, just the chassis feels better. Whilst we haven't got the best out of
Mm.
it yet, you can just tell it is going to be better once we, finally get it tuned right.
Yeah, and what sort of adjustments do you put into the car? Like, can you adjust the suspension? What can you adjust to make the car handle better, or even just go a little bit quicker down the straight?
Oh, there's so many adjustments on the thing. You're talking to a bloke who raced boats for 20 years, no suspension, no brakes. It was easy. So it's been a big learning curve for us. Again, we've got some good people in our corner, and we've had a lot of great advice from some good teams. And but yeah, learning the tuning of the suspension and brake bias and the different effects that those things have.
Mm.
That's been a really good learning thing for all of us.
Yeah, and when I was talking to Cal Jensen, he was talking about the R&D he had to put into his car. Did you have to do a similar thing with 3D printing and designing, or do you just go sort of standard or aftermarket parts?
Yeah, well, the rules are pretty strict in improved production, so you've got to stick to sort of commercially available parts. But there are some better stuff you can do. You can put some better bushing in and so forth. So it's also it keeps it affordable too when
Mm.
you can buy parts off the shelf. Certainly.
And yeah, like what sort of parts would you need to upgrade to see the difference in performance?
Suspension and brakes are the two big things. I mean, other than your engine, of course, but
Mm.
you know, once you've got your engine in the window, then it's a matter of getting the right brakes and the right suspension in it. And we're still progressing in that. We're still learning all about the car.
Yeah.
It certainly takes time.
And with learning about the car, you also learn about the maintenance. And guessing it's very similar to a V8 supercar. What sort of maintenance do you have to do after every weekend?
No, the maintenance isn't too bad. After every weekend, we do a leak down test on the engine. We just record that in a book, um, and then you start to pick up if there is some problems going on. That's generally where you detect it first. And just a general spanner check, and a wash, hopefully. But lately we've been having to do other bits and pieces. We're in break-in drive shafts and all sorts of crazy stuff. So,
Mm.
ideally, that's all you have to do after a race weekend: wash it and put it away.
Yeah, I could almost say the same about the Formula V's, except when we came home because we got an older car, it has a leaf spring on it, and as soon as we went to take it off the trailer, the leaf spring was sitting on the trailer,
Oh no.
still connected on one side, but yeah, the other side was just about to come off as well. So not a great thing, but
No.
yeah, yeah, it's just all about keeping it maintained, making sure the bolts are tight. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll
So what we do once we've spanner
mm,
checked the car, we use a paint pen and mark all the bolts,
mm,
and that way, over the course of the race weekend, you can actually pick it up early. Like you bring the car back in after a run, put it up on jack stands, pull the wheels off, and it takes literally 5 minutes just to have a look around under the corners of the car and check all the paint pens are still lined up.
mm.
And if they are, that's it's a pretty good indication of what's going on. So, and if you keep on top of just little things like that, it seems to help with the overall maintenance of it.
Yeah, I'll actually take that advice, and I'll do that to the car when I've put the other engine back in and it's ready to
Yeah.
go for race weekend. Uh, I'll get the tools I need. I'll make sure they're all tight, and then I'll mark them. Um,
Yep.
mm,
Yeah, and that's you generally, you'll catch something before it becomes a big problem. You'll see a bolt coming loose rather than at the end of the weekend when you get it home, or the bolt comes out and a spring falls out.
yeah. One time, recently, my dad, his old car was at the mechanic shop, and we brought it back, and they didn't tighten up the shocker bolt at the top. So I came
Yeah.
home from school, and it's just sitting there.
Oh
He's like,
no.
what? He's like, why does it feel so weird to drive? And yeah, I had to fix that problem up for him. But yeah, it's a bit weird like that, but obviously you learn stuff like that.
Yep.
Like just what you're saying with the pen. Do you have a checklist that you check off every time you come in?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I've just made a little booklet up that come in and well, starting tire pressures, finish tire pressures, what the suspension settings are, and then just a little checklist of wheels off, check
Mm,
brakes, check bolts, check fluids, drain catch cans, all those sorts of
yeah.
things. So yeah, we've got to. You'll have next time you're at the races, come and have a look. I'll show you.
Yeah, I'll certainly have a look. And just another thing, like when you're obviously maintaining the car, we gotta torque our wheel nuts and stuff, and you gotta check for bent things like steering rods if you've had contact. What sort of spares do you guys bring if you're not as close as Sandown? Like, say you're in Sydney and you have a minor accident, but you have to change a part. What what are the common parts?
Um, yeah, that's interesting because we're still learning that as well. But
Mm,
I've found having axles, spare axles in the trailer, that certainly is a good thing. We carry starter motor, alternator, although we haven't had to use either of those things yet. Um, Wheel bearings, we do carry spare hubs now,
mm.
but like when we were in Sydney last year, we noticed after one of the runs the bearings had collapsed. But it was Repco was literally 7 minutes from the track. They had them on the shelf, VF Commodore, everyday part, bang a new one on, and away you go.
Yeah, I guess you can get quite lucky when you have a common part.
That's
Um,
right, yeah. And
like
that's one of the things that attracted me to racing this sort of car
mm.
because you can get parts easily. Not everything is custom made.
Even my wheel bearing at the back on the axle tube, there's the hub. Um,
Yeah.
I took it off to we were obviously checking everything because there was a little leak, and I take the cover off, and then the bearing falls into my hand. So I'm sitting there with the bearing in my hand. I'm like, Dad, we got to run up to the shop.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. But yeah, so
Yeah,
you did you go to a bearing place to get the bearing, or where did you get that from?
we where are they? There, CV bearings. They're a
Okay, yep,
yeah, they're a local partner of mine.
yep,
On
excellent.
maybe 5 minutes up the road, so I just go see
Yep,
them, and those guys help me out. Like, you'd be surprised the smaller local businesses have helped me a lot compared to what some people might think. Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
just
great.
yeah, CV bearings and Bendigo Specialist Brake and Clutch. Those guys have just put in so much effort for us, and yeah, you got to appreciate it all. Because we
Yep.
wouldn't have got a lot of things done without them.
No, yep. You need your sponsors. I noticed the one in the bottom of the screen there, Petters, they helped us out at the weekend at Sandown
Mm,
when we'd broken an axle. Um, couldn't get one. I thought I'll just try Petters. And the guys from Petters, they were in Dandenong.
yeah.
They said they had one in the warehouse, but the warehouse wasn't open. And I said, look, is there someone, can we pay a call out fee or something? And he rings me back and he says, oh, they're doing a stock take, shoot round the
Oh,
back and pick it up. So we were very, very lucky. So Petters,
mm.
yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah. They've helped us out for a little bit. Just maybe a year now. So hopefully, Petters, you guys, they're great guys and stuff. But yeah, you got to thank the local businesses, especially. I thank everyone, but sometimes the local
Yep.
businesses provide a lot more.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It's
Yep.
been some of your best achievements so far in motorsport.
I suppose my first 2 years when I was racing in sports sedan, there's a class within that called, they call it production cars or floor pan. So
Mm.
a car with an unmodified floor pan. So, and I won that my first 2 years, that little class. And so, yeah, that was really cool. And so that's probably been the highlight so far because improved production's a lot tougher with all the cars are a lot more even. So, but yeah, sports engines are probably the highlight so far.
Yeah, and now you've moved to a trickier category, improved production. It's very hard. But I do
Mm.
actually want to talk about highs and lows. Motorsport has it a lot. And at
Yeah.
S&P, you had a bit of a low where you came out of the corner, and next thing, the car was sitting across the track. They'd been spun and obviously destroyed pretty harsh. I remember watching it on TV that day, and when I saw it, I was, very upset. But I saw you were of the car. So, I was relieved in that sense. It was good to see you were
Yeah.
okay, but, do you think you could have avoided the crash?
Oh, look, yeah, no. I've looked at
Mm,
the footage over and over and over again, the in car that I've got from it, and
mm,
there was just nothing I could do. It was just one of those things. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or I was,
mm.
or both.
It looked like it was, after a bit of a blind, like sort of blind when you were coming over. So, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think there would have been. Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, you come up over turn 3, and it is a bit of a blind crest, sort of right hand kink, and it's a little bit off camber as well. So you're not going flat out, but you're having a go over there, and you can't see over the crest, and you're carrying a bit of speed. I think the impact was 130. So
Ooh, yeah.
um, yeah, and when they're across the track, it's just you're second guessing. And anyway,
Mm.
that was that.
And we were talking about you got the new car. Have you repaired the old one, or have you? What are your plans with the old one?
The old one, we've actually cut it up. We cut it from front to back, about 6 inches in or 10 inches in, and we've mounted it up on the wall in our workshop. So
Um,
just as a souvenir.
is there any other categories or cars that you'd like to race in?
Yeah, I definitely have aspirations to go back to sports sedans at some stage. Yeah, but with a proper sports sedan car,
Yeah,
not the current car. My car's an IP car, and that's where it's best suited. But yeah, I'd love to get back into a space frame or into a space frame chassis car and have a go at sports sedans.
yeah. I think sports sedans is a very competitive category, like most of the state series categories. But you're talking about getting into motorsport. Like, what's one bit of advice you would pass on to someone who really wanted to go?
Get a decent budget. Yeah, no, it's don't be scared to have a go and do stuff yourself and learn. You can, there's so many people out there, good people out there that can help you and give you advice, and be a sponge, suck all the information in, and then work it out for yourself.
Yeah. When I was younger, my dad tried to teach me that early, but when I was really young, he used to go just bug everyone for advice. You started
Yep,
karting. I didn't listen.
yep,
And because I was maybe 7 at the time, but yeah, I've
yep.
slowly learned to try and get some knowledge so I can, learn. So I guess if you're getting into it, you know, like Danny said, be a sponge, take it all in. It will help, when you get more advanced into it. But, is your next event Phillip Island for the last round of state series?
Yeah, that's our next event. We are going to go and do a test day at Phillip Island between now and then in a couple of weeks. Um, but yeah, that's the next event.
And do you have any sponsors, who help you out currently that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity because yeah, we've got some great sponsors that help out. There's AA Diesel Truck Bodies. We've also got Vic Cranes on board, local crane supplier. Who am I missing? PK Refrigerated Logistics. He's been a really good sponsor for us. And there's another one I'm missing. Bugger. I should have had them written down in front of me, shouldn't I?
That's all right.
So no, they're our three main sponsors, so they're all good.
And can the viewers follow you on any social media platforms to keep up with your racing?
Yeah, we've got a Facebook page, Timewell Spent Racing. We try to keep that up to date and put some pictures and videos up from time to time. But I think I'm going to let Jacob take that over now, and he's 21 and loves social media, so we'll get Jacob to run the Facebook page for us and keep some more updates and pictures coming through.
That's a great idea. And it's been great talking to you again, Danny. I've always loved, watching your car out on track. It looks so good for a Holden. I wish you I wish you all the best for the rest of the season. And don't forget, everyone, you can catch some of the old episodes, like the one Danny featured in, on my YouTube channel, Facebook, or now on Spotify. So for anyone else who's racing this week, make sure that you drive fast and take chances, but safely, of course. Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, mate. See you at the track.